Welcome you to the special meeting of the Constitutional Affairs Panel. This is the last session. Now, our goal today is to discuss the methods for selecting the CE in 2017 and for forming the Legislative Council in 2016. The government has issued a consultation document, so we would like to listen to your views. And I will ask you to express your opinions one by one. Each one of you will have 3 minutes, and then the bell will ring. And I hope you will wrap up your speech as soon as possible after the bell rings. Now, if you have written submission, please give it to our staff so that a photocopy can be made for our members. When you speak, you will not be protected by the Legislative Council Powers and Privileges Ordinance. So when you speak, please speak closer to the microphone, then we can hear you more clearly. If you cannot hear too clearly, you can put on your earphones. After you have spoken, we will ask members if they want to ask questions. And then we will ask the Undersecretary for Constitutional and Mainland Affairs, Mr. Lau Kwong-wah, to make a response. And now let's start. First, Mr. Chen Kin. Chairman, members, good afternoon. I am an individual. I am a citizen of Hong Kong. And today I have the opportunity to come here to express my views on selecting the CE. And for selecting the CE in 2017 by universal suffrage in 2017, this is the aspiration of Hong Kong people as well as the central authorities. I think we should discuss this rationally so that we can forge consensus. And in order to achieve universal suffrage in 2017, we should all work hard. Now, this should be a one-person, one-vote election. This is about all citizens' rights. This is very important. Now, if because of personal benefits we want to stop it from happening, this is irrational. Now, selecting the CE by universal suffrage is a decision made in the Basic Law and by the NPCSC. And it should be implemented accordingly. If we do not follow the Basic Law, and if a consensus cannot be reached, then we cannot achieve the goal of having universal suffrage. Article 45 of the Basic Law has made a very clear prescription. He said that the CE should be nominated by a broadly representative NC. As for civil nomination or political party nomination, all these proposals are not in line with the spirit of the Basic Law. The Basic Law also stipulates that the CE shall be appointed by the Central People's Government. This is the CPG's power. A person who's against the central authorities should not be elected. This is only right. So when it comes to universal suffrage in Hong Kong, we should progress in a gradual and orderly manner. We should look at the spirit of the Basic Law. There are already stipulated procedures, and we should move forward slowly, step by step. And we shouldn't just raise the threshold and move to civil nomination. That is not appropriate. Mr. Thomas Young, good afternoon. I think empty talk is useless. You are all honorable legislators, and if you just cling on to your belief, I don't think we can move forward. Is this good for the public? Can it meet the expectations of the people, no, you will be an eternal culprit. Now, if there is a proposal that is not against the basic law, and if it respects the views of the people, then I think this proposal would be conducive to governance. So I would like to propose a 4-9 proposal. What do I mean by that? Now, for the NC, I suggest that the number of members should be increased from 1,200 to 1,600. And the 9 candidates that get the most votes in the first round, 4 of them will be selected for the second round, and they will go through the one-person, one-vote process. Now, we will have to respect the views of the people. So how do we do it? Now, for the NC, it has to authorize the 8 universities in Hong Kong to conduct an opinion poll. Now, for the first round, there will be 9 candidates. So an opinion poll will be conducted on them. So they will all be tested. Now, no matter whether do you belong to the pro-establishment camp or pan-democratic camp, if you think you are really popular, then you definitely should support my 4-9 proposal. Then we can have more democracy in Hong Kong, and we will not drag our feet anymore. We don't have to wait for another 10 years. So, no matter which political affiliation you belong to, can you ask yourself, can you meet the expectation of the people? We should not just look at our enemies. We should adhere importance to views of the people. Justice is in the mind of the people, and people's eyes are crystal clear. If you really respect the views of people, why don't you support my 4-9 proposal? Ms. Linda Tang. Now, when it comes to selecting the CE in 2017, I would like to make 2 points. Now, first of all, it has to be lawful. That is, it has to work in accordance with Article 45 of the Basic Law. And also, we have to support the Basic Law in one country, 2 systems. Mr. Law Kai Yi. I'm just an ordinary citizen. I was born and raised in Hong Kong. My parents moved from the mainland to Hong Kong many years ago. It seems that we are arguing all the time in Hong Kong. The government is not doing its work. And even the electrical is not doing its work. Well, 20 years ago, we were snails without shells. But when the property price dropped, we were complaining about negative equity. Now Hong Kong has no advantages anymore. If you look at our taxation regime, where does the tax come from? Do Hong Kong people pay the taxes? Why is it like that? Because we have been arguing. Now, when it comes to election, we argue. Now, even if there is a gold mine in front of us, we will still be arguing, and we will start fighting. So we cannot dig out the gold. Other people will get the chance to dig out the gold. So we should come up with a pragmatic and feasible proposal. I don't know how we can achieve that because I haven't read the consultation documents. I don't think we should waste time arguing. And a lot of people talk about democracy all the time. But when it comes to democracy, there must be a premise. That is, everybody should have a very strong awareness of being a citizen. Now, everybody in Hong Kong has this not in my backyard thinking. We would not think for society. So how can we forge consensus when it comes to democracy. We are so selfish. How can we achieve democracy? So I think education should be enhanced. Mr. Jovilam, I think this is a very good occasion because we are all allowed to express our views. Now, the CS and other secretaries have been going to districts, but today's meeting is more meaningful. I think when it comes to constitutional developments, many people in Hong Kong will share my view. We really want to select our own CE. And for universal suffrage, there have been a lot of proposals. Some people suggest civil nomination, and the government says that's not feasible. But I don't think that should be the focus. Yes, we can continue to discuss, but we should not dwell on this. According to Article 45 of the Basic Law and in 2007, the MPCSC also made it clear that is for the method for selecting the CE, there must be a broadly representative nominating committee. So it is essential for us to have a committee. But how about the membership of the NC? Nobody mentions that. I think this is the crux of the issue. However, nobody has ever talked about it. Now, the biggest problem now is not about the number of NC member, 800, 1,200 or 1,600. There is a problem about its representativeness. Now, can these MC members really represent all the people in Hong Kong? Now, I can cite an example of young people like me, for undergraduates like me. Nobody can represent us. You may see that DC members can represent us. That's true. But really, can they genuinely represent us so that CE that we support can be elected? Now, young people have their voices too. So when it comes to the composition of the NC, can you consider this? For young people and other people who are not covered, can they be represented in the future? As for the election committee, for example, in terms of publication, culture, arts sector, the candidates or the voters must be a registered organization. It cannot be an individual. However, in the cultural sector, many of the members are freelancers. They do not belong to a certain organization. So how can they become voters in this constituency?
So I think there should be further discussions on the composition of the committee. Thank you very much. Mr. Phil Chen Kin Fong.
By civil citizen. The reasons are as follows. Hong Kong is not a country, but a part of PRC. The past success of Hong Kong had no connection with democracy nor the selection procedure of Hong Kong governors. Democracy aimed at rule of law, clean government, human rights, of which Hong Kong already has. More or less, the democracy in Hong Kong has no strategic nor geographical significance to the world or to Hong Kong. Western democracy is not fully applicable and beneficial to and in Asia, with precedent as India, Thailand, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Taiwan, especially on economic growth. Hong Kong is only a pawn on a big chessboard, with the US and PRC central government as the players. If democracy and universal suffrage for chief executive is so important, why didn't the UK propose and implement it from 1984 in Hong Kong? There should be complicated implication on the constitutional law for PRC and Hong Kong. Therefore, a secure, stable, and orderly gradual progress of democracy in Hong Kong is best for Hong Kong people. Further, there's a wider issue we need to consider. Why is the selection method for the chief executive so important? To leave Hong Kong in safe hands, to secure the future of Hong Kong for what's already been built and not lose it. Whether the chief executive is from the Pandem Camp or DAB or any other group as is irrelevant. There's a hard truth of Hong Kong. Secrets of past success of Hong Kong is a safe, secure, and stable political environment, which emphasizes on entrepreneurship, meritocracy, clean, effective, and efficient government, and the rule of law. In existence, real problem faced by Hong Kong at present, substantial loss in economic competitiveness, as reflected by continuous low pay for Hong Kong graduates in last 10 years. We are vulnerable to economic downturns under competition on a global basis due to globalization, ineffective and efficient government due to unsustainable destructive confrontation ideological. There is an unrealistically chasing for conceptual and theoretical democracy. The future of Hong Kong relies on Hong Kong able to overreach New York and London as the most important international financial center in the world, highest GDP per capita income per person in Asia than the world. How to secure the future of Hong Kong? Maybe to secure the system to make Hong Kong stand out and prosper. Open system which treats everyone fairly, equally, to attract talent and entrepreneurs, to strengthen and consolidate a safe, secure, stable political environment for economic growth. That's what I be saying.
Oh, thank you. 胡雪君小姐。
各位好。
Thank you. Ms. Wu. I'm a housewife. I'm an ordinary member of the public. I often see on TV representatives from political parties making certain remarks. But I think they are leading the public towards more confrontation and more irrational discussion. As a member of the public, I don't want to see these things. I think when we want changes, when we want democracy, we have to do it step by step. We shouldn't rely on radical means. Radical means will not bring good results. And we need to bear in mind that we need to pursue democratic development on the basis of one country, two systems. And we need to have our unique road to democracy based on the unique circumstances in Hong Kong. Thank you. Mr. Lam. Yes. I understand that Hong Kong people want to elect the CE by one man, one vote. Now, in order that we can work out a successful election system or election method, I would say it would be very difficult to have a system which can please everybody. We are students. We are of the view that the nomination stage is a very important stage. So concerning the composition of the nominating committee and who the members are, these can affect the outcome of the election. The nominating committee has to be broadly representative. It has to have the support of the public. And what is meant by broadly representative? Now, we may consider increasing the number of members. In fact, in an earlier session, some deputations said that, yes, we can make reference to certain models that we also need to make adjustments, and we have to do fine-tuning. Now, I think we need to have further discussion on, say, the number of members in the nominating committee. We can consider lowering the threshold. What is most important is balanced participation. We represent young people in society. And we hope that for the election method in 2017, we can have a mutual respect, and we should also respect the mechanism laid down in the basic law. Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Tem Chiu Hong. Yes, thank you. Chairman, members, I am the representative of the Joint Committee for the Promotion of the Basic Law of Hong Kong. The Joint Committee comprises 60 organizations concerned about Hong Kong's political, economic, and social development. And we try to promote the basic law through various channels to different sectors in society. We hope that Hong Kong people can understand the importance of the basic law to one country, two systems, Hong Kong people ruling Hong Kong, and also the maintaining of Hong Kong's prosperity and stability. So we'd like Legislative members to fully consider the background and principles to Hong Kong's political development. Please also study the basic law and the NPCSC's decision. And concerning the method for selecting the CE in 2017 and the method of forming the LegCo in 2016, we hope that there can be rational and harmonious discussions on the basis of the basic law. We hope that the basic law can be fully implemented, and we hope that we can work out arrangements that truly benefit Hong Kong people. Now, the CE must be loyal to Hong Kong. He or she must uphold the basic law. In fact, we've got Annex 1 to the basic law, and concerning the various sectors, I think there can be further discussion. With regard to the method for forming the LegCo in 2016, we have Annex 2 to the basic law. There must be support by 2/3 majority, the consent of the CE, and then a report has to be made to the NPC for the record. So in other words, we must have the support of the majority of LegCo members. And concerning the direct elections or universal suffrage, there has to be gradual and orderly progress, and I think we can all study Instrument 8. Now we understand that in fact there was nothing like the basic law in history. What is important is that we must reach a consensus. If we can't reach a consensus, Hong Kong will become ungovernable, and as a result, we won't be able to achieve any progress. Mr. Jeff Koo would like to state the following, Chairman. First, we are of the view that there should be equal and universal suffrage. And the composition of the NC must reflect this important principle, and that's why we are of the view that there should be nominations by the citizens. We are of the view that for all permanent residents of Hong Kong who have undergone voter registration procedures, they should be allowed to nominate, to seek to be elected, and to cast their votes. Yes. The nominating committee is stated in the basic law. But then if its composition cannot help us realize the spirit of democracy, and if its composition is not broadly representative, its composition cannot reflect the views of Hong Kong people, then I think the CS4A or the Secretary for Constitutional Affairs should have the courage to propose amendments to the basic law. And then we cannot accept any screening process. Yes, of course, we can't have 7 million candidates, but then But I think we should allow civic nominations. And I want to say that, in fact, we have civic nominations for district council elections and legislative elections. These are established mechanisms. And if we impose additional thresholds, that will only increase the burden of the public. And with regard to the legislative election in 2016, we are of the view that FCs must be abolished. And then our second view is that FCs must be abolished. And our third view is that FCs must be abolished. FCs have no functions. And in fact, we have sufficient functions in the GC elections. For example, we have a lot of lawyers returned by GC elections, and we have doctors like Dr. Kiki Kwok, and we have Mr. Jasper Zhang, who is a principal. So FCs must be abolished. Thank you. Mr. Billy Chen, Chairman. Our association represents Yut Ming Estate of Sha Tin. I want to congratulate Mr. Lau Kong Wah for being the Undersecretary. The Undersecretary said that for the election committee, the membership increased from 400 to 800 to 1,200. But I want to say that in the last term, there were only 200,000 voters, less than 1/10 of the total number of voters. Now, we're told that there will be universal suffrage. I don't know whether this is going to happen or not. According to the basic law, candidates have to be nominated by the nominating committee, and there will be the 4 sectors. So, will the 2017 election be different from the past CEE elections? Now, in fact, the Chinese constitution has been amended a few times. So how come we can't amend the basic law? And does the basic law say that the basic law can't be amended? Now, the basic law doesn't mention civic nominations, but neither does the basic law mention loving the country and loving Hong Kong as a criterion. Does Emily Lau love the country? Does Chen Chi-chun love Hong Kong and the country? Now, in fact, civic nomination is being practiced for legislative elections. So how come there can't be civic nominations or nominations by the people for the CE elections? So I think we should allow citizens to nominate candidates for the CE election. And then concerning the legislative election in 2016, now I want to say that with regard to motions like repurchasing the link, and also invoking upon the powers and privileges ordinance to probe into the HKTV issue. In fact, that there were more votes for than votes against, and yet because of the split voting system, the motions were defeated. And this is really something very just unique in Hong Kong. Thank you. Mr. Leung Lee, I represent the New Democrats. We represent ordinary members of the public. We are of the view that concerning the 2017 CE election, there must be civic nominations. The consultation document states that it doesn't have any, the government doesn't have any preconceived ideas. But then you can see that the document is based on the interpretation of the basic law by Beijing officials. So the consultation document says that nominations will be done by the nominating committee, and then the document mentions organization or organizational nominations. Now, in fact, we should have the dual direct elections in 2007, 2008, but then Beijing was allowed to move the goalposts, and so we didn't have the 2 direct elections. And again, now Beijing wants to move the goalposts to screen out candidates that it doesn't like. And then coming to the 2016 electoral election, we insist that functional constituencies be totally abolished. Now, we don't know whether there will still be the split voting system in 2016 and beyond. And if the split voting system still continues, even if we have only 7 FC seats, then under the split voting system, these FC members can vote down motions supported by GC members. And so in the 2016 electoral election, FCs must be abolished. And Under Secretary Mr. Lau, you said Hong Kong had to win. And if Hong Kong is to win, then we must have 2 conditions.
One, universal of CE, and second, universal suffrage for electoral, and there must be a universal right to nominate, to be elected, and to vote. Mr. Donald Ding, I represent the Hong Kong Scholar Development Union. Now, according to Article 45 of Basic Law, the Hong Kong CE will be elected after nomination by a democratic, broadly representative nominating committee and elected by universal suffrage. The Basic Law stipulates that the nominating right rests with the nominating committee. Even though some people do not like the NC, we cannot deny the fact that it will be the nominating authority. For the prosperity and stability of Hong Kong, we must have 1 round of universal suffrage under the framework of the Basic Law, and then we can consider amending the Basic Law. If we do not follow the framework set by the Basic Law, we will make no progress. We will be at a standstill, and the public do not want to see that. Finally, we hope that can be a CE selected by universal suffrage in 2017 who will lead us to the electoral election by universal suffrage in 2020. Ms. Kwan Ka Lin, now I'd like to talk about public nomination. It may be against the law and it's not very practicable. Now, public nomination is on the basis of Article 25 of the ICCPR, and it says that one has to have the right to be elected. Now, this is not allowed at present, and under the Sino-British Declaration, this has been preserved by the SAR government. Now, the Basic Law says that the right to amend to the Basic Law rests with the CPG ultimately, and people have had rather negative views about the public nomination. Now, according to Article 45, it says that the HKSAR-CE, the method of selection of the CE, must be appropriate to the actual situation and be the result of gradual and orderly progress. Now, gradual and orderly progress is very vague. Now, you can say that it can be achieved by one person, one vote, but if the CE is to represent public opinion and to help people's livelihood, then then getting the nominating right now is not consistent with gradual and orderly progress. So it's difficult to be put into practice, and we live in a system with limited liberty or freedom. We hope the CPG can accept the spirit of the public nomination solution, and the public nomination should not be just cast aside. Mr. Lai Man Lok, I'd like to ask, will there only be the current number of members sitting here? Yes, we have 5 members. Can Ms. Lau or Ms. Wong request for a count of the number of members? The persons at the hearing cannot raise a request. I hope Ms. Lau or Ms. Wong can request a count of the number of members. We will record your request. I will quote in a writer: the gradual and orderly progress is interpreted differently by the pan-democratic camp and the pro-establishment camp. Now, the Democrats feel that we need universal suffrage urgently. The CCP has to wait for the growth of the pan-democratic camp. The writer is Ms. Leung Mo-ha, and the book is called The Underground Party of Hong Kong. Now, some speakers say that they are only ordinary citizens of Hong Kong, but they dare not put forward counter-proposals. You say you want to support the basic law, but what are you supporting? If the law is unfair, why don't you offer a counter-proposal? We say that public nomination or universal suffrage should be introduced. Do you know what they are? Now, you merely oppose for the sake of opposition. Now, who is afraid of equality? Who is afraid of public nomination? That is an authoritarian government. Now, if we have direct and equal nomination, then that means the government will be subject to monitoring by the whole society. So it has to be subject to the voting power of the public. So the Undersecretary, now I hope you can give us an answer. I still like to ask Ms. Wong and Ms. Lau to use the power to request a roll call of the members. It's a public hearing. This is another member of citizen making this request. Rule of Procedure 37.3 is the authority. I hope Mr. Alan Leong can also make this request. No, only 7 members are seeing what I'm doing. What is the point of speaking if there are only 7 members? Please speak at your turn. This is just delay tactics. Consultation is meaningless. Please go back, refer to the document. We want to abolish split voting. The members have not said who can. Only the people can have the power. Now you and I have the power. So this is this is my representation by means of a rap song. You can express your views, but after you have done so, it will be the next person. There are only 7 members out of 70 sitting here. Now you have finished speaking. I request silent mourning for 10 seconds. Now this meeting is only for expression of views. You have nothing further to say? Silence to express sorrow. Public nomination is essential. Next, Mr. David Chu, please maintain order. Now, many people have asked that one must act by the basic law, but how do we get the basic law? Now, the Basic Law Consultation Committee was set up in 1985. It was chaired by Mr. Leung Chun-ying, and there were members who requested many democratic features, but they were turned down. And then in '89 there was another consultation. There was the June 4th movement. The CCP used tanks in a massacre. Now, and so the basic law was passed in 1990. Now, it was designed unilaterally by the CCP. It is an unjust constitution. Why do we still follow the basic law? Now, the CCP made amendments to the annexes, and why are we still waiting? Now, the Beijing officials are still setting prerequisites, organizational nomination. Now, the rules are set without proper authority. So we support nomination by the entire public nomination. Now, we want to make our voting more meaningful. Nomination should be the right of everyone through public nomination. 30 years ago, the public was already supporting referendum for political reform. Now, the 5-district referendum can establish public opinion so that when we bargain with Mr. Lau Kong-wah and other senior officials, we can have more bargaining chips. Now, Mrs. Carrie Lam says that let's discuss, but you are setting requirements like organizational voting. This is not asking people to talk. Next, Mr. O'Clock. Article 45 of the Basic Law says that we must have a nominating committee that is broadly representative, and that it must be it must be formed by democratic procedures. No. The promise of universal suffrage is difficult to be realized. Now, I believe public nomination is not a dream. How do we realize public nomination? Apart from the members of the Alliance for Genuine Universal Suffrage, the DAB maybe should join. Now, the Alliance, we are an alliance against screening. Now, if there is no public nomination, Mr. Chairman, you might run, but you will certainly, someone like you will certainly not win under public nomination. So I think the DAB should join the alliance for public nomination. Now, I reiterate, this is a rare opportunity, Mr. Chairman. The DAB is the Democratic Alliance for the Betterment of People's Livelihood. Now, but elected officials forget that they serve Hong Kong. So actually, the DAB is democratic, at least in name. Now, I hope that we would have genuine universal suffrage. Mr. Ivan Lam, I am a representative of scholarism. We do not want something that is a poor substitute. Now, many people talk about universal suffrage. What principles should we adopt? We heard about the basic law, NPC decisions, public officials, but genuine universal suffrage means that Hong Kong people should be able to decide. We hope that every political party that supports genuine universal suffrage and the broad public should remember that only by public nomination can people be genuinely able to enjoy freedom, and people should not be subservient. We should not let ourselves be insulted. Now, the FCs and the 4 sectors that form the subcommittee, that arrangement should be abolished. Now, people talk about the story of the victors. That is, the basic law constrains us, but behind the basic law there is a story of struggle. Now, when we get the signatures of the referendum, we believe that the fire is not yet extinguished. There should be 5 district referendum to return the rights to the people. Now, some people here claim to be representatives of students, etc. I was a member of the fasting movement. Now, Hong Kong students should not just be pro-establishment and try to maintain stability. Now, I hope referendum will materialize and people can stand up for themselves. Mr. Leung Chi-wai, Mr. former Legislative Councillor, Mr. Lau. Now, good afternoon. Now, I am Donald Chen of the our association was established to try to change the system. Now, we have an unfair election system. The CE was elected by 4 sectors that are not broadly acceptable to the public, and the public do not support him. So we want to change the system, but people say that the nominating committee should be with reference to the existing election committee, and so we are against that. Some people say it's this screening. Now, the 4 sectors stink. How can I think you are using puns that are not appropriate. Now, it said that this is an NPC decision. Now, the basic law says that the nominating committee may be formed with reference to the current composition of the election committee, but this is may, not shall. Now, we should screen away the right people. Now, they say that the 4 sectors are favorable, important for Hong Kong stability, but I can quote Lenin, the people's power will generate the right system, and so Hong Kong people have voted a long time for genuine democracy. So please sit down. Ms. Ling Yushi.
Chairman, members, good afternoon. I am a citizen, but I am also a scholar in politics. So I would like to make 3 points from this perspective. Now, when it comes to constitutional development, there are 5 steps. The first step is the CE to make a report to the NPCSC, so as to invite the NPCSC to decide whether it is necessary to amend the method of selection or formation. Now, when it comes to amendments, I think the consultation document does not talk too much about this. And just now, some representatives talked about the concept of democracy, and they talked about the established institutions in Hong Kong, the time-honored policies, and some people have a lot of worries, etc. I think at the logical, the consultation should be more focused on step 1, that is, whether an amendment should be made. And these views expressed just now should be gathered under step 1, and this is for the reference of the CE. And second, about the NC, it has to be broadly representative. But for the broad representativeness, not many people understand what it exactly means. In 1990, When it comes to the decision on the first term of government, it is stated that broad representativeness covers the 4 major sectors, and each sector would account for 25% of the whole establishment. So if you look at broad representativeness, it's about a group, it's not about an individual. So these groups are regarded as representatives in that particular sector, not individuals. So for this group representatives, well, they should be elected, or there should be a certain procedure to return them. It doesn't mean that a person is working in that profession and he can represent that profession. So if we understand broad representativeness more, then we would know that these groups should have more or less the same power, and the Legicos FC should be kept because this would embody broad representativeness. Mr. Stephen Yin. I would like to express my views on the methods for selecting the CE in 2017 and for forming the Legico in 2016. Well, a lot of people have views concerning this. We hope that 2 direct elections can be realized in Hong Kong, but there are some voices saying that new channels can be created beyond the basic law so that there can be some other forms of pre-selections. Now, the basic law is the constitutional document of Hong Kong, so it should be regarded as the guideline for Hong Kong's dual universal suffrage. So now we should just discuss about the details. This is in line with the spirit of the rule of law in Hong Kong. As for the method for selecting the CE in 2017, many people have expressed their views lately, in particular about the formation of the NC, the nomination procedures, etc. In accordance with Article 45 of the Basic Law, now the ultimate aim is the selection of CE by universal suffrage upon nomination by a broadly representative NC in accordance with democratic procedures. So I think that voters should participate directly, and we should look at each district and try to achieve broad representativeness as much as possible. The NC can only nominate CE candidates. As for voting, all the registered voters in Hong Kong should have the right to vote. I think that the existing CE selection process is in line with the basic law. And this is a form of indirect election. So for eligible candidates, after screening, they will be regarded as suitable people. But I think the whole process should be more transparent so that people's concerns can be allayed. And when it comes to the number of candidates, it seems that we have not reached a consensus yet. But I think that through the relevant procedures, several quality candidates can be identified. The above was my views. Ms. Chang Han-Sang. Good afternoon, Chairman, members. Why am I here today? It's because the quality of legislators and government officials are really poor. So I have come up with a proposal for the central authorities. In accordance with Article 45, well, it talks about broad representativeness, and if you want organization voters, actually my proposal is very good. It is in line with the principle of universal suffrage, and it also complies with the framework of the basic law. Government officials and legislators should definitely look at my proposal, and I hope that this proposal can be relayed to the central authorities. I come here to raise your quality. First of all, the CE candidate, well, he can sign up first. Now, where does he go? He goes to the nominating committee, but there are conditions. Now, he has to have 10,000 nominators, and then he would have to register. Now, the central authorities are very worried about not having screening, so we would have a screening or a pre-selection. Now, the voters will nominate a candidate, and the NC will also take part. My proposal is that the NC members will also be returned by election. So one candidate would need 10 signed or 10,000 signed nomination forms. Then you will be regarded as acceptable. It will be very broad. In accordance with Article 4 and 5 of the Basic Law, it says that the SAR will not implement socialism. It will keep capitalism, and it will be kept for 50 years. And the Hong Kong SAR would protect the freedom and rights of Hong Kong citizens. Well, in Hong Kong, many foreigners live here, and Hong Kong is a bridge for the exchange of Chinese and Western cultures. So my proposal has already ensured that Article 45 will be implemented and will respect the central authorities. Now we just need 10,000 signed forms, and there is no upper limit on the number. Well, I have written all this down. Can I speak more? Because this is very important. You can give us the written submission, but we have to add some more. Well, give me some more time. Your time is up. You can give us your written submission. Let me say some more. Well, there are not so many people here. Can you give me 2 more minutes? Now you need 10,000 forms, and it has to be looked at by the NC. Can you give me 2 more minutes? Well, there are not many people here. Don't do this to me. We are talking about universal suffrage. Well, you cannot carry on your dialogue like this. Please give us your written submission. You have a submission. Give it to us. The top 5 will go into the election, and we need a 50% vote. Well, she has spoken for more than 4 minutes. I will make my own decision. Please wrap up your speech as soon as possible. Well, they're always talking about the central authority, so I have come up with this very good proposal. So what's the problem with my proposal? Well, if you look at my submission, I'm afraid that you would not understand it. I think in accordance with the values and Western culture, and this is also about our civil awareness. Thank you. Please give us your submission. It will be photocopied and distributed to members. Let's continue. Mr. Chung Lai Him. Thank you, Chairman. I speak on behalf of Faith Ridge Universal Suffrage and Equal Nomination Kai Fong Association. We support the proposal of scholarism, and there should be a civil nomination in accordance with Article 45 of the Basic Law. The ultimate goal is the selection of the CE by universal suffrage and nomination by a broadly representative NC in accordance with democratic procedures. So what can be better, or what can be more representative than all the Hong Kong people? Your civil nomination would have no screening, and there would be special privileged clauses. And the NPCSC decision just said that you can make reference to this and that, but I think that is useless, so I just ignore it. So the most I think the SALG should not violate the basic law anymore, and it should not be misinterpreting the basic law. When I read the basic law, I really cannot find all these restrictions. So on behalf of our association, I would like to ask the government to discuss within the framework of the basic law, and the central authorities should not intervene in our business because we have autonomy. 66% of Hong Kong people support civil nomination. If civil nomination is against the basic law, then the basic law should be amended. Is that a big deal? Is it not sacred? Over 20 years ago, Hong Kong people did not take part in the drafting of the basic law, even though 60,000 citizens signed and say that the basic law should not be written like that. The government just ignored them. So the basic law does not have people's mandate. And our government is not supported by the people at all, so it does not have people's mandate either. So I hope that in constitutional development, you should not make another mistake. Now, the government should listen to the views of the people, and civil nomination should definitely be an element of universal suffrage. And in 2016, for the electoral election, FCs must be abolished so that electoral members can really represent the people. I hope the Pan-Democrats would resign from electoral and start another referendum. This would show the determination of the people, and then we can have a greater mandate for civil nomination. If the government still ignores our views, it will have to pay dearly, and there will be a more serious incident than occupying Central. Please be quiet. Just now, Mr. Wong Kai-yang has not spoken yet, so now we invite Mr. Wong to speak.
Law research student at the University of Hong Kong. As I see it, the consultation document is fatally flawed as a matter of law. I wish in particular to draw the panel's attention to the complete lack in the consultation document of any reference whatsoever to the human rights to vote and to stand for election. The Honourable Chief Secretary was asked about this very omission on the 4th of December last year before the whole Council. She essentially claimed, according to the Hansard, that the history of Hong Kong precludes the taking into account of international human rights and electoral standards. With respect, the Chief Secretary's response is remarkably flippant. If the Honourable Lady could take the trouble to at least read the landmark decision of the Court of Final Appeal in Ng Ka Ling, she would have appreciated that, for example, Article 45 of the Basic Law, which provides for universal suffrage for the Chief Executive, has to be understood in context, and a fair reading of Article 45 dictates that the context must squarely include at least Article 26 of our very own Basic Law and Article 25b of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, both of which guarantee the rights to vote and to stand for election. Neither of these provisions the government has cared to put into the consultation document. It is interesting that the public are being lectured regularly by the trio on constitutional reform about the importance of acting strictly in accordance with the Basic Law, but that they are prepared to throw them in the bin when it suits their political purpose. And not only that, this sorry state of affairs is exacerbated by the illegality and procedural impropriety inherent in this consultation exercise. It is axiomatic in law that an important aspect of fairness and propriety in the area of consultation is that a consultation document must present the available information fairly. The omission here, as I explained, is constitutionally material, and it is such that there can be no proper consultation. As such, the consultation document, and therefore the entire consultation process, is irretrievably flawed as to be unlawful. In short, this consultation exercise gives every credible appearance of either naive incompetence or downright dishonesty on the part of the government. In my submission, it is unlawful as a result. I ask you, therefore, Mr. Chairman, for guidance on how we can persuade the government to right this wrong and continue to exercise effective public scrutiny without being ignored, as this is, as I understand it, the last public meeting before this panel on this subject. Will the government reassure this panel and the public at large that it will reconsider its defiance of human rights standards? Thank you.
好，就議員有冇邊
Members, do you want to ask questions? If not, I'll ask the Undersecretary, Mr. Lau, to respond. I would like to thank the deputations for attending today's meeting. Many of the deputations have talked about the sectors under the election committee. We have put down all your views. You have told us your perspectives. And you all agree that the basic law should be regarded as the basis for discussion. I would like to respond to certain comments. Mr. Lam Chiu Wai mentioned university representatives. In the course of consultation, we also talked about the composition of NC. We have heard views from different sectors. They hope that some sub-sectors can be created, including what Mr. Lam said, representatives of young people or representatives of university students. We have also heard views from the cultural sector. Now, Mr. Lam, for university students, maybe you can give us some more specific suggestions so that we can hear the views of young people. Mr. Lam Chun Ho, we attach a lot of importance to young people. I don't know whether you have reached the voting age, but for secondary school students, in a few years' time, they will have to cast their first vote, and they may be casting that vote for the CE. So for secondary school students, they have been responding enthusiastically to this consultation. So I hope that when you go back to your school, you please call on your fellow students to express their views. We hope that in accordance with the basic law, we can come up with a tailor-made proposal for you. Mr. Chen Xiu-yang talked about the NC. And the NC may be very similar to the old election committee. But I would like to point out that for the past EC, well, now there are 1,200 members, and it plays the role of nomination as well as election of CE. However, in the future, the nominating committee will just play the role of nomination.
So after making the nominations, the nominating committee has to allow the all the voters in Hong Kong to choose the CE. And Mr. Leung Lee and a number of other deputations mentioned the consultation document. Now we, in the document, try to give members of the public the historical background. We try to explain the legal basis. And in fact, as early as 1 year before the consultation exercise, we had started our preparation work. And so you can see in footnote 11 that in fact many proposals are listed here, and in fact our bureau has met the various proponents. In fact, each of those meetings lasted for over an hour. So in fact, we are very serious in our public consultation work. We had the preparation work done, and then we put together the consultation document. One individual asked whether the report of the consultation exercise would disappoint Hong Kong people. Now we are now still in the stage of collecting public views. We just want to provide a report with very substantive content to the CE, because the CE will have to submit a report to the CPG, and there will be another round of consultation on the various choices or various options. And so the public will have a discussion on these various options, and then the 70 electoral members will vote on the various options. And then Ms. Ling mentioned a number of legal points. Yes, whether there should be an amendment can be an option or an issue. But then in the consultation document, we can't list all the questions, all the issues. But then, of course, if you have other comments to write in. And then finally, we'd like to thank you for your comments. Lau Kong, why you did not respond to what we said? Please sit down. It's not the time for you to give comments. Why are you walking in this direction? Why are you coming out to... please ask him to leave. Please ask him to leave. Please ask them to leave. Our staff, please ask them to leave the conference room. You have to leave this conference room. This is disorderly conduct. Leave this conference room. Please be careful. Please take care.
Merci.
I just want the Undersecretary to respond to my comments, my proposals. Now, all the comments made at today's hearing will be recorded, and the Undersecretary is here. I believe he understands what you are proposing, and I don't think that the Undersecretary can respond to each and every of the comments or suggestions made today. The speaker is not coming through. We know the government and electoral members do not attach importance to our interests. I've written a lot. I think we must have the rule of law. How can we compete with other mainland cities if we do not make improvements? Right? Point noted. Undersecretary, I just hope that you understand that we have a total of 161 deputations today, and so we may not be able to respond to each and every suggestion made. Now, we're still in the consultation period. More proposals will be coming in. And we can't really analyze or comment on each and every proposal in a substantive manner. Mr. Chan?
Consultation or having discussion with relevant parties or societies concerning the proposal they will suggest to you, will you ask one very important question? Is what's the relevance of their proposal to secure the future of Hong Kong? Have you ever asked this question to them? What's the relevance of the proposal for securing the future of Hong Kong? I think this is the aim of selection for the Chief Executive, is to secure the future of Hong Kong. Have you asked this question to them? Have you put to them? That's what I'm really concerned about. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Yang, please be concise. I just want to ask the Undersecretary this question. As you know, political issues also have an impact on economic development, economic prosperity. So, will you analyze the various options and their political and economic impact? And I think it's useless to merely discuss political reforms without implementing them. Now, Mr. Lau, I believe you are a leader who wants to contribute to Hong Kong, and I hope that political reforms can be implemented. We do not want any political party to become a sinner in Hong Kong's history. Mr. Lau, there are proposals and options not seen in the consultation document, but you are welcome to give your suggestions. Now, we will put together a report later after the consultation exercise. I think you can see that, in fact, there are very divergent views in the community, and so I think more communication is important. Mr. Chan Kwok Heng, now Mr. Wong said that the consultation exercise was an unlawful one. So what is your response? And second, is it that the SAR government has already ruled out civic nominations altogether? So can internationally accepted proposals be regarded as in line with the Basic Law and the NPCSC's decision? Civic nominations may not be a violation of the Basic Law. So can I ask the Undersecretary whether civic nomination is totally unacceptable? So I'll adjourn the meeting after the Undersecretary has responded. Mr. Lau. Chairman. No, in fact, this consultation exercise is lawful. And in fact, this is one of the 5 steps. We are seriously listening to the public's views. Now, many deputations have referred to Article 45 of the Basic Law. I believe you know that article very well. And you can see that in that article, the channel for making nominations is through the nominating committee. All right, I think we'll adjourn now. Thank you for attending this hearing. Thank you.